for over a decade and studied the country's economy, housing market, and immigration trends. I've seen firsthand how the dream of living in Canada is evolving. From the perspective of someone who's deeply involved in Canadian policy and economics, I can tell you, things aren't as simple as they used to be. Yeah. But what if I told you there are ways to not just survive, but actually thrive in Canada despite these challenges? What if you could understand how to navigate the high cost of living, access better healthcare, and unlock opportunities that make Canada's flaws feel less overwhelming? In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you actionable insights into what's really going on in Canada, show you how the landscape is changing, and reveal strategies that could help you make the most of living here, whether you're already a resident or planning to move. Canada has long been a country of opportunity, a land known for its high quality of life, strong social services, and welcoming communities. For many, Canada represents the ideal place to live, work, and build a future. But in recent years, questions have been raised about whether Canada's glory days are behind it. Is living in Canada as bad as ever? Are the struggles Canadians face today making it harder to live the Canadian dream? In this video, we'll take a deep dive into what life in Canada is like today, the challenges Canadians are facing, and explore whether things are as bad as they seem, or if there's hope on the horizon. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. What exactly is wrong with Canada today? The first and most glaring issue is the cost of living. Canada has seen an astronomical rise in housing prices, especially in major cities like Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. For many people, owning a home is becoming an unattainable dream, with prices continuing to soar well beyond the average income. According to the Canadian Real Estate Association, the average home price in Canada reached over $700,000 in 2023, a figure far too high for most people to afford without taking on massive debt. Renters are also feeling the pinch as rental prices continue to climb, leaving many Canadians struggling to make ends meet. But housing isn't the only issue Canadians are grappling with. The healthcare system, once one of the proudest aspects of life in Canada, is under severe strain. Wait times for medical appointments and surgeries have become alarmingly long. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the inefficiencies of the healthcare system, and it's clear that Canada needs to invest more in healthcare to meet the needs of its growing population. Yet, despite these challenges, healthcare spending hasn't been enough to improve wait times or reduce the strain on doctors and nurses. On top of these challenges, immigration, one of the key factors that have always contributed to Canada's growth, has become an area of concern. While Canada continues to be a popular destination for immigrants, many newcomers struggle to find jobs that match their qualifications. Skilled professionals are often forced to take jobs far below their experience level, and a lack of affordable housing makes settling into Canadian cities a difficult task. These challenges contribute to a sense of disillusionment among people who once saw Canada as the ultimate place to build a life. So we've covered some of the harsh realities of living in Canada today, but the question remains, what can be done to turn things around? Is there any hope for fixing these issues, or are Canadians just stuck in this cycle? The truth is, while things seem difficult right now, there are a number of potential solutions that could help improve the situation. First, let's talk about the housing crisis. While it's true that Canada's real estate market has become incredibly expensive, there are ways to address the imbalance between demand and supply. One of the most important steps is to increase the construction of affordable housing. Canada needs to focus on building more homes that are accessible to the average person, not just luxury condos or high-end rental units. Government incentives for developers to build affordable housing could make a huge difference. Some cities have already taken steps in this direction. In Vancouver, for example, the government has started increasing investments in affordable housing, with a focus on making housing available for families, seniors, and low-income individuals. However, these projects need to be scaled up, and more cities across Canada need to adopt similar strategies. But it's not just about building more homes. Addressing zoning laws and making it easier to build in urban centers could help tackle the housing shortage. Many areas with a lot of potential for growth are tied up in outdated zoning restrictions that limit the types of properties that can be developed. If these laws were updated, it would allow for more mixed-use spaces, higher density housing, and more opportunities for people to find affordable places to live in the cities where jobs are concentrated. Another critical issue is the healthcare system. While Canada is proud of its universal healthcare system, the long wait times and overburdened infrastructure are undeniable problems. One potential solution is investing in the healthcare workforce. Right now, Canada is facing a shortage of doctors, nurses, and specialists, which leads to delayed treatments and longer wait times. Increasing funding for training programs and making it easier for foreign-trained professionals to practice in Canada could help ease some of the pressure. In addition, there should be an emphasis on improving the efficiency of the healthcare system itself. This includes better management of healthcare resources, more investment in technology to streamline patient care, and reducing administrative costs. Some experts have suggested integrating more private options into the system, which could take the pressure off public services without completely eliminating the universality that Canadians value. Next, addressing the challenges faced by immigrants is another crucial step in improving life in Canada. Canada has always been a land of opportunity for people from all over the world, but too often, immigrants face barriers when trying to integrate into Canadian society. One solution is to expand programs that recognize foreign credentials and work experience. Many highly skilled immigrants, like Raj from earlier, struggle to find jobs that match their qualifications because their overseas degrees and work experience aren't recognized by Canadian employers. The solution here is simple. Streamline the credential recognition process. By creating a more standardized system that evaluates foreign qualifications and allows immigrants to prove their skills in a quicker and more transparent way, Canada could help integrate these individuals into the workforce faster. This would not only help immigrants find meaningful work, but also fill critical labor shortages in key industries, particularly in technology, healthcare, and engineering. Finally, Canada could invest more heavily in renewable energy and green technologies, which would not only create jobs, but also address environmental concerns. By embracing sustainable development, Canada could ensure that its future growth doesn't come at the cost of its environment and the well-being of its citizens. Green energy initiatives, electric vehicle infrastructure, and eco-friendly building practices could be a major part of the solution to economic challenges, creating jobs while making life more sustainable in the long run. The reality check. Now, after exploring the challenges and potential solutions, it's time to take a step back and ask, how realistic are these solutions? Can we truly expect change, or are these just hopeful ideals? In this section, we'll look at the possible outcomes, the obstacles that lie ahead, and whether we can really expect life in Canada to improve in the near future. One of the biggest challenges to implementing these solutions is the complexity of Canada's political and economic landscape. Changes in housing policies, healthcare, and immigration are not easy to make, and they often face resistance from various stakeholders. For instance, increasing taxes to fund public services might be a necessary step, but it's also a politically sensitive one. Canadians are already dealing with high living costs, and asking them to pay more in taxes could lead to significant pushback, especially from middle-class families who feel they are already stretched thin. Furthermore, political polarization in Canada, much like in other countries, complicates the process of passing comprehensive reforms. Different political parties often have starkly different views on how to handle the economy, healthcare, and housing. For example, while some parties argue for stronger government intervention and more social spending, others advocate for smaller government and more market-driven solutions. This divide can make it incredibly difficult to create lasting change, as policies often shift dramatically depending on the party in power. This lack of political consensus also leads to a lack of continuity in policy. If a new party comes into power every few years and shifts the direction of the country, it can undermine long-term solutions. What's needed is a more unified approach, with bipartisan support for critical issues like housing, healthcare, and immigrant integration. However, with the current political climate, this kind of collaboration seems challenging. Despite these obstacles, there are reasons to remain hopeful. The Canadian public is increasingly aware of the challenges facing the country, and there's growing pressure on the government to take action. Public opinion on issues like affordable housing, healthcare reform, and immigration integration is shifting, with many Canadians supporting reforms that would address these issues. In fact, recent polls show that Canadians are more likely than ever to support government spending on social programs, as long as they lead to tangible results. Moreover, there are signs that some of the necessary changes are already beginning to take shape. In the housing sector, some provinces are beginning to adjust zoning laws to allow for more development and mixed-use spaces, which could help alleviate the supply shortage in the long term. At the federal level, there has been talk of increasing investments in affordable housing, and while progress has been slow, these discussions are a step in the right direction. On the healthcare front, there's increasing recognition that Canada's healthcare system needs modernization. Some provinces are experimenting with reforms that aim to streamline the system, reduce wait times, and improve care delivery. While these reforms are still in the early stages, they offer a glimpse into what the future could look like if Canada takes bold action on healthcare. The immigrant integration issue is also being addressed more actively by both government and non-governmental organizations. There's a growing emphasis on helping newcomers navigate the Canadian job market and gain recognition for their skills and qualifications. While it's not a perfect solution yet, programs that provide mentorship, language skills, and career advice are starting to make a real difference for many immigrants. Conclusion. So, while the path to meaningful change is not without its challenges, it's important to recognize that progress is possible. Canada is at a crossroads, and the decisions made today will shape the country's future for generations to come. Whether or not life in Canada becomes as bad as ever depends largely on the actions taken in the next few years. If the government, businesses, and citizens can come together and tackle the issues head-on, Canada's future could be just as bright as its past.